Hey everybody, welcome to He Says, answering questions that we've been getting through from our Facebook page, via texts, through some of our local friends, through some of the conferences we've been doing, and also soon through our webpage. Keep an eye out for that. It's, I would say, about 95% done. We're this close to going live with it. It's looking great. Me and Jocelyn have put a lot of time and effort into that, so keep an eye out for that one. Okay, so this is He Says, and I'm going to answer a quick question, which is, how do we keep our purity and keep our boundaries strong while once we've already had sex outside marriage, not necessarily together, but prior to being saved or prior to coming into this relationship, and now we've made a choice to be pure? How do we maintain that purity once we've had the experience and know what it's like? Well, first thing, I want to challenge you. Do you really know what it's like? Because for myself and Jocelyn, we had both had sex outside marriage prior to meeting each other even, let alone prior to getting married. And we decided before meeting each other that we were going to stay pure. Number one, that's a huge step. You have to make the decision. If you don't have a decision, you won't embrace the pain for the vision, because you won't have any vision to actually be attaining for. So to start with, make that decision. But just like I was saying, me and Justin both had sex outside marriage before we met each other, and we came to that decision to stay pure. We came to God, and he coached us through why it was important. And now we are married, and now we are having sex within marriage. There's another level of experience, there's another level of the orgasm, there's another level of the excitement, there's another level of the intimacy that you share, there's another level of the trust that you share between each other. Like the sex between me and my wife is so much more heightened and so much more explosive and alive than anything I'd ever experienced beforehand. So the question I would actually ask you is, do you really know what it feels like? Now, what you do know and what you have felt is actually a counterfeit of the real thing. Now, a counterfeit has value if it is embraced. Okay, if you have a counterfeit like piece of money, whether it's pounds, dollars, whatever it looks like, yen, anything, if it's a counterfeit, if you embrace it, if you take it, it's had the value that it was intended to have. But if you recognize that it is a counterfeit, actually suddenly the value suddenly diminishes. So I really want to challenge you. Do you really know what it's like? Do you really actually know the experience and the feeling that you came to me with the question for? So first and foremost, get your vision. Okay, what you're actually fighting for is huge. What you're fighting for is incredible. What you're fighting for is not for yourself. And it's actually partially not for your spouse either, your future spouse. It's actually for your generations that come after you. See, if we enter into a relationship without that level of trust, if we enter into a covenant relationship, a marriage, something where God comes in, there's bloodshed. If you enter into that covenant with other things bringing into it, so premarital sex with it, whether it's porn, whether it's masturbation, whether it's even another person, whether you're bringing them into that covenant, you're actually creating a toxic atmosphere to raise a generation into. So when you have kids out of this toxic atmosphere, how do you think they're going to be raised, and how do you think their mindset's going to affect how they respond and react to questions, to how do you think they're going to respond to choices? So you need to get a vision. Like, what you're fighting for is not just for you, and it's not just for your spouse, even though there is value in that, but it's bigger than that. It's for the generation after you, and the generation after them, and the generation after them. What you're fighting for right now is for generations to come. You will see victory in your marriage, but you won't see the lasting victory, because it will continue on after you're dead and after we've gone to heaven. So get a vision for it. Pay the price. So many times I come to counseling sessions with young guys and young couples, and I give them counseling, and they come back to me 2 or 3 weeks later and nothing's changed. And I said, well, have you put into practice some of the 1, 2, 3 steps I gave you? No, I haven't. Why? Because it was too tough. It was too hard. I didn't want to do it. In the moment, I didn't want to call that friend. In that moment, I didn't want to be accountable. Well, what you're actually telling me is you want it, but you're not willing to pay the price for it. So get a vision and then be willing to pay the price for it. And now, just before I end this, I'm going to give you a couple really quick 1, 2, 3 steps that will really set you up for success. The biggest one is get into a community of people that know you inside out, that know how you think, that know what those thoughts mean to you, know how you act when you're tired and when you're weak, know how you act when you're high and when you're alive as well. Because those people, you expose your relationship to those people, they will give you healthy, strong, and true advice into healthy decisions to make. So you can come to them and say, I really want to have sex, and it's natural to want to have sex. I actually really want this with this person I'm potentially going to marry. I really want this. Can you coach me through this? Can you coach me how? Impartially. I need to get out of my head into making a healthy decision. So get yourself into a group of people and then keep your relationship public to them and to other people. So what do I mean by keeping it public? Don't stay inside. Don't get in a house, a room. I'd even be aware of cars after dark. Don't get in those places alone or where nobody knows where you are. Because it's in those moments where you could be tired, you could be hungry, you could be weak. And in those moments, you can make unhealthy decisions. So keep it public. Go on dates, just the two of you. Go to Starbucks. Go get coffee. Go, even go get a beer or a glass of wine if you're old enough. Go to the movies. Go have a meal. Even go out to the gym together and places like that. Just do life together. That's fine, but keep it public. Don't be alone in a house. Don't be alone. Put a curfew on it, really. Put a curfew on your relationship. I would be really sensible with that and put a curfew on that. Would be good for you. No kissing with tongue. Me and Jocelyn, we started kissing with tongue when we were first dating, and things were really heightening in the sexual side of us. I was becoming really aroused, and I had to say to her, hey, when we do this, I'm becoming really aroused, and it's actually heightening something that I don't need, or awakening something that I don't need awakened right now. So I actually need to stop this for a time so I can actually help manage myself with you when we're together. Talk to each other about it. It's actually okay to talk about sex with each other. It's okay to say, hey, this aroused me, I need to stay away from this, just like with the kissing with tongues. It's okay to say, hey, this aroused me, this didn't arouse me, blah, 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 blah. But talk about it again in a public place, because if you talk about those things in a private place, you're actually starting to arouse sexual thoughts, sexual ideas, sexual emotions inside, which can trigger something which actually can lead to a detrimental choice. Okay, so keep it public. Keep people in your relationship. Keep exposing your relationship to people. Talk about sexuality with your potential spouse or with your partner. Always pray. Like, praying is a huge thing. Don't look at porn or masturbation. You're again heightening your sexual senses and exciting yourself or the perspective or the vision that you have in your mind, so that when you become in a relationship, you have expectation of what it should look like. Okay? Those are a few really quick steps. I got loads more steps. We would love to hang out one-on-one and we could pull apart the relationship and just say, hey, look, these are a few quick pointers that would really set you up for success. But you need to be known, your relationship needs to be known, and you need to communicate about it in a healthy way. In the She Says, when Jocelyn shares, she'll give you some tips from her perspective and what she's learning, and even I look forward to that. I always learn something new from my wife, and we learn from each other, so we're still communicating. It's good. Anyway, bless you guys. Hope you're doing well. Hope this video finds you well and it helps you in some area. Okay, bless you guys. Bye.